The National Honor Societies want to help you get future ready, and we've prepared a series of videos to help you along the way. Today we'll focus on persuasive speaking. You may not know it, but we use persuasion and encounter persuasion from others on a daily basis. From advertisements online, commercials, or convincing your friends what movie to watch, all of that involves persuasion. Persuasive speaking requires critical thinking, analysis, and deliberative decision-making. And while there is a lot to learn about persuasion, we are going to focus on a specific technique to get you started: Monroe's motivated sequence. What is Monroe's motivated sequence? It is a technique that uses the psychology of persuasion to motivate people into action. This technique was created during the 1930s by Alan H. Monroe, who was a Purdue University professor. As you can see, this method has been around for quite a while. Monroe's motivated sequence is made up of 5 steps. 1. Attention. 2. Need. 3. Satisfaction. 4. Visualization. 5. Action. Step 1. Get your audience's attention. In order to persuade an audience, we need to have their attention first. There are many ways to do this, using humor, telling a story, a thought-provoking rhetorical question, or perhaps a shocking statistic. For example, if you were doing a speech about plastic pollution and you wanted to start with a shocking statistic, you could say, according to The Guardian, approximately 8.3 billion tons of plastic have been produced since the 1950s. That is about the weight of more than 800,000 Eiffel Towers. And what's even worse, only 9% of it has been recycled. Whichever opening strategy you use, make sure you have energy in your delivery, because if you don't seem engaged, your audience will not be either. The main point of this step is to captivate your audience and reel them in. While in typical presentations you provide a preview of what you will discuss, Monroe's sequence is different. It is vital that you do not preview what you will be discussing in your speech. Doing so will ruin your ability to use Monroe's sequence effectively. After you have their attention, we will move directly into our next step. Step 2. Establish the need. In this section, we will convince our audience that there is an urgent problem that needs immediate action. You will spend the majority of your speaking time on this step. When building this section, do your best to stay focused on 2 to 3 arguments. This ensures you can thoroughly explain the issue and avoid overloading your audience with too much information. For example, if your speech was about plastic pollution, your main arguments may be that single-use plastics are 1. Harming marine life, and 2. Contaminating our drinking water. As you establish and document the problem, be sure to 1. Provide credible evidence to back up your claims. 2. Exhibit the consequences of doing nothing. 3. Be clear on how this issue affects the audience directly. People are more likely to move into action when the consequences affect them personally. And by this time, hopefully you've done such a great job explaining the problem that you've primed them for your solution. Step 3. Satisfy the need. Introduce the solution that will satisfy the need. This is the first time the audience should be hearing your solution. By waiting to disclose this until after establishing the need, your audience will be more open to accepting your solution. In this step, you will describe in detail how your solution will satisfy each unfulfilled need or problem you mentioned in Step 2. Let's say your solution to the problem, plastic pollution, is to encourage your audience to buy a reusable water bottle. You would then have to explain how buying a reusable water bottle fixes or helps the problems you mentioned in the prior section. 1. Harming marine life. 2. Contaminating our drinking water. Remember to provide evidence to any claims you make about your solution. It's important to show your audience supporting evidence that your solution will work. No solution is bulletproof. At the end of this section, be sure to briefly mention possible obstacles with your solution. If done correctly, this can even make your solution stronger. For example, a possible obstacle for this solution, buying a reusable water bottle, could be that they can be expensive, usually around $20 to $30. However, you could mention that the average person spends $100 on bottled water every year. So actually having a reusable water bottle could save you money in the long run. Step 4 is visualization. Help the audience visualize the result of adopting your solution, and perhaps paint a picture of what happens if they do not adopt your solution. You do not have to do both. Just remember that to effectively use imagery, you must select vivid language and truly paint a picture with your words. This is your last chance to appeal to their emotions before you ask them to take action. We have made it to the fifth and final step: call to action. This is where you ask the audience to take a step in adopting our proposed solution. Sticking with our plastic pollution example and solution of encouraging everyone to use a reusable water bottle, we now need to give them detailed instructions on how they can take action. In this case, we would want to inform them about where they could purchase the water bottle, perhaps a local store they are familiar with. You could even go as far as to letting them know what section of the store to look in. The easier you make it for your audience, the more likely they are to engage. Now, it's important to note that sometimes our solutions are not easy ones to adopt overnight. For example, let's say your solution is for your audience to adopt a plant-based diet. That is a big lifestyle change that will require time to adjust. Therefore, we want to make a smaller ask that still pushes the audience in the direction of our solution. Therefore, instead of your call to action asking your audience to become vegan or vegetarian, you can challenge them to eliminate meat from their diet 1 day a week for 1 month. This is a smaller behavioral change they will more likely be open to. Persuasive speaking is a skill that requires a lot of practice. You will need to do extensive research to not only understand your position, but your opposition as well. When you understand where people's reservations are, you can prepare yourself to address potential obstacles in your presentation. Even if you don't plan on using persuasion in a public speaking setting, it is still incredibly vital to understand how persuasion operates. It will empower you to assess the legitimacy of arguments and analysis. The National Honor Society and National Junior Honor Society are proud of the accomplishments that earned you membership in the organization, and we support you in your life's journey. Good luck with polishing your persuasion skills to get you future ready.